Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? The outrage.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Rachel Zegler, she's an...
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And, you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Rachel Zegler didn't just step into a Disney role. She stepped straight into a storm. When Disney announced she'd play Snow White, people were curious but cautiously excited. A rising star from West Side Story, Zegler had the voice, the presence, the momentum. But then came the interviews, and that's where everything started to fall apart. Instead of honoring the 1937 classic, she ripped into it, called it weird, outdated, basically threw the entire story in the trash with a smirk. For generations of fans who grew up loving that fairy tale, her words hit like a slap. Suddenly, this wasn't just a movie update. It felt like an attack on something millions held close. And just when people thought she might walk it back, she doubled down.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my God.
That was the moment hardcore Disney fans started tuning out. Zegler's interviews weren't just bold, they came off as smug. To many, it felt like she was mocking the story and the people who loved it. Then it got political, fast. Old clips and tweets resurfaced where she unloaded on an entire group of voters, anyone who supported a former US president. Her message? Go away. Don't come back. You don't deserve peace. It wasn't just a controversial opinion. It felt like a direct attack. And just like that, what should have been a family film turned into a lightning rod. But the real backlash hadn't even started yet.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts on social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
And they postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable, told all Trump supporters that they could off, excuse me, but she did. That was just in November. They didn't even know she was going to do that one.
For a lot of people, this was the breaking point. Those who were still unsure about Disney's live-action Snow White suddenly had their answer. Supporting the movie now felt like endorsing the star's hostility. Zegler had drawn a line, and half the country felt shoved to the other side. She eventually posted an apology, but it didn't land. Critics called it forced, robotic, way too late. Instead of putting out the fire, it fanned the flames. And behind the scenes, Disney was starting to sweat, because what came next was even harder to spin.
And then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far. But it wasn't sincere.
Disney sold the remake as a bold, modern take, but what fans got felt more like a demolition job. Instead of updating the 1937 classic with care, they stripped it bare. The love story? Gone. The heart? MIA. In interviews, Zegler didn't hold back. She proudly said this Snow White didn't need a man, but to longtime fans, it sounded less like empowerment and more like mockery. They didn't mind a stronger princess, but not at the cost of the charm that made the original unforgettable. And as the story unraveled, the changes only got harder to defend.
If you're still here, you're exactly who this channel's for. Hit subscribe, Bosansize. We dive into the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million, and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist. on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely atrocious.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like on a metaphorical level? What does that mean?
The prince didn't just lose screen time. He became a footnote. His role was slashed to a blink and miss it cameo that felt more awkward than charming. The evil queen, no longer driven by jealousy over beauty, just another villain chasing power. And the music? All the classics were gone. In their place, clunky, message-heavy tracks that critics called hollow, even preachy. Then Zegler dropped the bomb, calling the original prince a stalker. As if a beloved fairy tale was some kind of cautionary tale about toxic romance. Fans who grew up with Someday My Prince Will Come watched the entire story get tossed like it never mattered. But the real shock wasn't just what they changed, it was what came next.
And accusing Disney of inserting unnecessary feminism into classic fairy tales.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
So no prince or a different kind of prince? I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Are you Disney? I've read your book, and I have. It's a phenomenal book. You're losing generation of loyal viewers. When you think about Snow White, what is the premise? What is the story?
It's a love story. It's a love story.
It's a dream for a girl to grow up and a man falls in love.
I'm really upset that it's that the biggest theme here is that it's anti-men. She called him a stalker.
Just as Disney ramped up promotion, Ziegler's past came back swinging. Old social posts surfaced. She'd mocked Trump voters, hurled insults, and even said she hoped they'd never find peace. It wasn't subtle. Even people who couldn't stand Trump thought the tone crossed a line. And for a family-friendly brand, it was a PR nightmare. Disney's core audience includes parents, kids, and families across the political spectrum. Alienating millions wasn't part of the plan. The studio scrambled. PR teams rushed to clean up the mess, but Zegler wasn't playing along. She didn't walk anything back. She stood by her words, even doubled down on talk shows. And with every appearance, the damage got harder to hide.
Because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather she deserves to be in a padded cell.
Social media didn't forgive, and it definitely didn't forget. She hates half of us, one user wrote, and then expects us to buy her movie. That reaction wasn't isolated. It exploded across platforms, fueling boycott campaigns that hit Disney right where it hurt, at the box office. But that wasn't the only blow. The dwarfs, one of the most iconic parts of the original film, were gone. After Peter Dinklage slammed them as outdated, Disney panicked. Instead of updating the characters, they erased them. Leaks showed bizarre CGI creatures. Then came talk of replacing them with a band of diverse bandits. The backlash was immediate. Even a last-minute reshoot couldn't fix the damage. And the next wave of criticism, it was even worse.
If you're deep in this story with us, tap like. It helps more people uncover just how far this fairy tale went off the rails.
Then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me. Right. And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Critics didn't hold back, and neither did fans. Disney claimed it was pushing for progress, but all they saw was hypocrisy. By cutting the dwarfs, the studio didn't just erase characters. It wiped out roles that could have gone to 7 little-person actors. That could have been real representation. Instead, it became a PR mess. The replacements? Soulless, generic, forgettable. The whimsical charm of the original was stripped away and swapped with placeholders no one connected with. And the fallout from that decision wasn't over. It was only building.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
Only 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here, but because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not